Today's video is brought to you by Outdoor Staycations, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to maintain a healthy black and gray water tank system. What is the difference between black and gray water? It's an important thing to know. Black water really is your body waste, whether solid or liquid, goes into your trailer, through your toilet, and into a separate black water tank system. Gray water, on the other hand, is your sink and your shower water, and again, it has its own holding tank. If you have a unit like mine, I have a third tank with a rear kitchen that I have to then empty the third tank, which is a second gray water tank. So now that we discussed black and gray water, let's discuss chemicals and paper. Chemicals. What the chemical in your tank does is it treats your black water. Gray water is usually not maintainable. I mean, you can put bleach in it if you want. You can put deodorizing chemicals in it if you want, but most people do not bother. But in the black water tank, you do need some sort of deodorizer and a product that's going to dissolve your body waste and your paper. In these two, I have OxyChem and TST. Both of them are a powder form. They come in pods, just like your washing machine pods. I prefer them over the liquid for two reasons. One is the liquid has a larger waste stream. It comes in plastic bottles. And once or twice it's happened that the top has come off while I've been traveling. And it does have a tendency of turning your hands a different color if you're not careful putting it into your tank. So again, I do prefer the solid. I've had no trouble with them. They've worked just as well. And usually one a week, sometimes two if it's extremely hot. But let your nose tell you on that. But traditionally, you have to do one per tank. Now, the most important part of your system is your paper. I have to admit that I ran a campground for 10 years, and I ran the Honey Wagon. I did thousands of dumps. I can tell you what not to put into a tank and what to put into a tank. And again, the most important thing is the paper. The paper, when you go into the RV section, is most important. You're not going to find products like this in the toilet paper section. It's not going to be next to them fuzzy little bears toilet paper. It will be in the RV section. It must say rapid dissolving for boats and RVs, and it could be Scott, it could be Camco. There are several products. I usually pick the one that seems to have the most. You can go 2-ply or 1-ply. It's entirely up to you. In this particular case, I'm using Scott's because Walmart had it on sale. So I have Scott's. Now what the toilet paper is going to do in conjunction with the chemicals, and I'll show you. I'm going to take a wad of the toilet paper right off the Scott. I'm going to put it in the water, and you're going to quickly see that it breaks down. It becomes into a fibrous nature. That's not going to happen in regular toilet paper that you buy in the toilet paper aisle. So be careful. Rapid dissolving is important. Rapid dissolving will come out as a fiber where you might have troubles with the more solid paper, i.e. toilet paper, getting stuck in the valves when you try and close it after dumping your tank, and it can cause a whole bunch of issues coating the bottom of your tank, so just don't do it. Stick to a water soluble. Might not be as comfortable, but it certainly is going to be better for your tank. Now we've talked about the black and the gray water. The next thing we're going to talk about is your order of dumping. But the order of dumping is important that you're going to have a hose. You're either going to be at a dump station or you're going to be in a full sewer site, but your black water is always going to have an odor to it. So what I do is I always keep the valve closed. The worst thing you can do, and I've seen it in campgrounds, is that leave the valve open. You think it's a sewer site. Unless you want your trailer to turn out to be an outhouse, do not leave your valve open. Leave it closed the full 6 or 7 days that it would normally be closed, and then flush it when it is full. Again, do not leave it open. The liquids will dissolve. It'll go into the tanks, into your sewer system. Your solids will just build up on the bottom of your RV tank. Don't do it. So what you're going to do is, as my wife and I found out, we can go 6 showers on our gray water system before we have to dump it. Now we're in an RV site that has a sewer system. It's left open, but 2 days before we have to dump our black water system, I close the valve. I let 20-30 gallons build up in the tank for flushing. Now as to your black water tank, if you look at your monitor panel, it may or may not be anything close to accurate. Mine has never been accurate. It'll always show a half or 3/4. The reason behind that is the side of a tank has film built up on it from the solids, from basically the gunk that you've been putting into it. And it's only a sensor on the side of a tank, almost like a digital thermometer. So it's going to be coated on it, and you probably will never get an accurate reading. I hope you do. I've never had. That being said, I know my wife and I can go 7 days between dumps, using it as a 24-hour-a-day basis. And that's realistically every 7 days I dump it. So 2 days before I have to dump it, I'll close my gray water valve on my shower, let it build up 20 or 30 gallons, hit day 7, I pull the black water tank, flushes on down, I pull the gray water tank, it cleans out my hoses, I close the black water tank, leave the gray open again, and then I'm good to go for another 7 days. So lastly, one of the things you also should be aware of is that by regulations, and I really don't have to say this, is that you must have a cap on it in transit. So just make sure that you actually have a cap covering your 2.5-inch opening between campgrounds, and everything should be fine. This is Hughes from Outdoor Staycation. I hope that you enjoyed this video, or at least learned a little bit from it. Go to OutdoorStaycations.com for more articles and videos as they become apparent, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.